Hey, you guys, what's going on? Listen, this video is just a bit late. It is a bit late, so my apologies, but let's just get down to it. This is Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is season 15, episode 14. Um, Drew. I'm gonna start right there. Drew. Is Drew the only person that doesn't realize that this is actually over? This marriage, it's pretty much it's sad, but it's pretty much it's over. It's over, and I think she's the last one in the situation that actually gets it. Like seriously, I think she's the last one that gets it. It's sad. Anyway, but the episode actually started off with Drew, and she's talking about doing this whole mental health retreat type of little situation. And this fool is sitting around talking about liquor. Like they're saying, we'll do these healthy drinks, this, that, thing, and the other. And she's like, oh, so we can't have any alcohol? It's a mental health retreat, Drew. Why would you have a some substance that literally alters your mental at a retreat promoting mental health? You're a goofball. You really are a goofball. I sometimes I think, is she actually trolling us, or is she really serious? Is she really serious, or is she really trolling us? Like, girl, knock it off. Anyway, moving on. After that, we found out we got some good news. Ross and Sonia are pregnant. They are pregnant. They let the family know. And I'm like laughing. I said, you know what? Her sister is just a grudge hold. Like that baby, she literally she holds grudges and things. And she's like, at this point, she is coming across like a killjoy. So it's like all this, oh, we're pregnant, this, that, thing, and the other. And in the midst of having that moment, baby, she jumped right back to, we getting ready to move, right? We're moving, we're leaving. Oh yeah, we're actually, me and her and her husband and baby and the mother and the father, they're all going to move into the same area. I said, oh dang, okay, so they're moving the same area or whatever. I'm like, girl, you come across as a killjoy. Anyway, screw all that. Ross and Sonia are pregnant. Good, 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 good. Um, then we go back to Drew and Ralph. I'm not spending too much time with this, but they went out on a date that literally went left. They get there before the people could deliver the food to them. They are into a little situation where she's talking about going away, doing the movie. It's going to take her away from the house for like 10 days. She's going to need him to step up, to, do things. And he's like, well, we're going to have a problem. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? This type of stuff, I can't even fathom. Like, I can't even fathom this being a conversation when we're talking about two parents and one child, one or two, no, sorry, not one child, two children, and that there's an issue. How is there going to be an issue? I need to go away for 10 days to do some business. We know what we both do, and you're talking about it's going to be a problem. How often does Drew work? Like, Ralph, really? You're just being nasty. At this point, you're being unnecessarily nasty. You are just done. Like, you're done with the whole everything. I don't know. She better than me. She's better than me. Um, I don't know. Their relationship, sometimes as much as Drew gets on my nerves, their relationship sometimes comes across as like, it's like mentally like abusive. And I hope I'm not using like, I'm not trying to be triggering. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to use trigger words, but that's how it comes across. Like mentally, it's just draining. And it's just like some things I feel like he's like nudging at her on purpose. Some things he just doesn't care. He just doesn't put her feelings at the forefront of anything. It comes across abusive, and it's really hard to watch. This is the same thing about, like, how with Kenya, I'm not the hugest Kenya fan. I mean, she alright, but I don't usually side with Kenya. I don't usually agree with Kenya. But when Mark was around, I was totally team Kenya. Whenever Mark comes up, I'm team Kenya. Mark is mean. Mark is mean. I didn't ever feel as though Kenya deserved the treatment that she receives from Mark at all. And I'm starting to feel that same way about Ralph. And Ralph being attractive and all of that, nobody cares. Those looks fade. So I can imagine, from me sitting around just watching from afar and saying, well, that's a good looking man, and the looks don't work for me anymore. I can just imagine being in the relationship, in the work. Those looks ain't even a factor anymore. Same thing with Mark. Mark's good looking, but Mark has done so much to Kenya to where those looks aren't even the same. When I look at Mark, I'll be like, the cutest thing Mark got going on is Brooklyn. Believe it. He is not a nice person at all. At all. Moving on. So that little date was a bust. That was a bust. Moving on, we got Shamia, Candy, and Kenya actually sat down, and they were talking about this whole birthday dinner that Sheree had actually had. Here, Candy wasn't invited to the dinner. I was like, whoa, okay. I said, I know this is not the last we're going to hear of this. And it wasn't. It really wasn't the last that we heard of it. They ended up bringing it up again later on in the episode. I was like, wow. How are you even going to explain that away, that Candy wasn't invited? Like, Sheree, really? I said, okay. Anyway, but they talked about it, and then they spoke about the fact that Marital didn't pay the $1,500 for the bill. Was like $1,500 for the meals, and Marital, because it seemed like maybe he was the only male there, possibly, and it was just like a bunch of the women. It just don't seem like there was a lot of men there, but they expected him to like jump in and pay the bill, but he didn't do it. I said, okay. Then we had a little scene there with Sheree, and Sheree made this comment. Well, he doesn't buy the expensive high-end brands. So I was like, so we're kind of like painting this picture of Marital. He's a cheap bastard, is what he is. He's a cheap bastard, and girl, maybe he ain't into you all like that. Maybe he ain't into you like that. Or maybe he's just not the man for you. He not the man for you. He not flash. But he is kind of flashy, but he's just not flashy with you. Is what it kind of comes across as. Maybe he just don't see that, you don't see it for you like that. I don't know. Anyway, but listen, again, that's their relationship. So if you like it, I love it. He's not meeting the expectation of the social crowd that you're in. So, girl, they looking at you and kikiing behind your back. Anyway, we sat and we saw the reading of the script for Todd's movie. Everything went, really, really good in the script reading. Nothing was off. We seen pretty much everybody that was in the movie. Some good people, a lot of people that they knew. I want to see the movie. I want to see how it turns out. Todd throwing in there, that was funny. Todd threw in, he's like, this is not my story. This is not me and Candy. This is not Mama Joyce in the thing. I was like, yeah, go on and say that now, because Lord knows, that'll be a thing later. Now, this is off topic. This is some old nasty piece of shade from me. Off topic. I'm getting ready to go up on my soapbox. While we were watching, did you all see the commercial for Miss Khalees? Miss Khalees is doing these Uber commercials, and I'm looking like, so Beyonce had you on her album. She had, music from you sample on her album. You made a big stink about things. It was a whole big legal thing to the point where now your stuff has been removed from the album altogether. The whole collaboration of it all has been removed. Right, wrong, or indifferent. You know, it just, I don't know. You got credit for your stuff being used, but then I don't know it. You weren't happy with the way everything went, but it wasn't stolen. It wasn't stolen. I don't think she was happy with the way in which the business was done. So you caused some friction and you kicked up some dust. You kicked up some dust, and now the concert is going on. We're actually seeing in real time people going to the concert, all the people who were featured on the album being at the concerts, and it's a big deal, and it is taking over social media. And then we see you on social media and we see you on television doing Uber Eats and Uber Commerce commercials. Okay, I just threw that out there. It's just something that I saw while I was watching the show. It don't even have nothing to do with Real Housewives, but I saw that while I was watching the show, and I just kind of kikied. I did. I was like, girl, I don't. Did your milkshake bring the boys to the yard, or did your milkshake melt? Moving on. So we go to Drew's mental health retreat. First thing that was funny, because there's going to be some clusterfuck. First thing I saw, Candy coming up, and they got this green drink, and Candy's like, "Oh no, thank you." I just Candy, you ain't even asked the people what was in it. You just looked at it as, "No, thank you, honey." I said, "Girl, what you thought they was gonna be handing out chicken wings, honey?" No, thank you. I just said, dang. Everything was decorated up so nice, though. It looked good. Everything looked good. I thought it was done. Everything was done really, really well. And again, let me take this back. Let's back up for a little bit. Let's rewind the tape. This wasn't Drew's mental health retreat. This was actually our formal introduction to Allison, who actually should have Drew's peach. Okay. Allison she's so inspirational. She's sharing her story. This really was about Allison. It really is not about Drew. This is our formal introduction to Allison as a peach holder in my eyes. Give Drew's peach to Allison, child. Anyway, so Allison tells, her story, and I love that she said, "This is what we use now. We say I had a mental mishap." Because it really does sound and feel so much better than "I had a mental breakdown." I had a mental mishap. I like that. Yeah, I like that. Ralph showed up late and didn't even speak to Drew. I was like, what is that all about? That was a mess. Just didn't even speak to the broad. I said, well, damn. Them two, they embarrassing, child. They embarrass themselves like constantly. They're ridiculous. Anyway, so that was that. Then they had to throw in the drop it like Drew moment. I said, okay, I guess that's your little advertising. And then Marlo, hater, but it was funny. She pulls up the website. The website ain't even there. I said, y'all gonna get enough. Y'all gonna get enough. I mean, how much does it cost to pay GoDaddy, to have the website up? It's how embarrassing. Anyway, child, drop it with Drew, honey. They dropped it all right. Then they had a meditation piece that actually did work out. Candy, it worked for Candy. Candy got something from the meditation piece. So that, and it was so calm, and it was, yeah, that little that this whole, the retreat thing, it was handled nicely. The seriousness of it wasn't snatched away with foolishness and clownery. It really wasn't. It was actually done really, really well. And again, I think it focused more on Allison and us getting to know Allison than Drew. Drew was just the catalyst. It's like, girl, I guess this would be the first time we see somebody's sister snatch their peach. But I would prefer Allison to have the peach than Drew. I really would. I said it. Anyway, moving on. Um, and did y'all see Ralph? How Ralph is down to the function, and it looked like he's free and single and ready to mingle. Y'all see Kiana? He like, oh yeah, Kiana, come on over. He hugged her. Kiana, I remember Kiana she was the original castmate of the Sister Circle. And she's a comedian. And yeah, comedian, she's an actress, those kind of things. And she was one of the original members of the Sister Circle with Quad, Selena Johnson, and Rashawn Ali. In the very beginning, before Trina Braxton was actually on the show. Trina Braxton came and took Kiana's spot. And actually, you remember Funky Dineva was actually originally there as well. And then they moved Funky out and they moved Kiana out. And then shortly after that, well, a little while after that, then Trina Braxton came. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, he free, like, it was like free and single and free to mingle is the vibe that I was getting. I was like, child. So he realizes that the marriage is over. But old Drew, maybe not so much. Anyway, they get down there. Marlo is a whole mood killer. She's a whole mood killer. When they went to go to do the meditation, she fussing in her confessional talking about their feet stink or something. It is stinking in there. Maybe it's them doing the drop with Drew and not putting on deodorant, or maybe their feet is stinking. Now, do I believe that them ladies were smelling? No, I do not. Marlo, you just being messy. Now stop that. Anyway, and God knows if she'd have thought she could put it on a specific person, like if Candy was stinking, baby, we didn't know that it was Candy that was stinking. She'd be like, girl, Candy's stinking, honey. She would have did it. So you just being messy. Anyway, moving on. So sitting down at the table, they're having like a little something to eat. And beautiful, beautiful table set up. And here comes Sheree, shady, honey, gonna throw out that court thing again. Baby, they done busted Drew up in a lie. Remember, the whole thing was that the lawsuit was for $1,000. She's being sued for $1,000. Now it done jumped up to $10,000. But Sheree's the one that brought it up. I said, Sheree, that was real smooth and real slick and real shady. She brought it up. It went from 1,000 to 10,000, and then they're showing the actual documents like that's free to the public to be able to see. Honey, don't have to say no $10,000. Everything say $1,000. I said, Bravo is so shady. They are so shady. But you need to stop all this lying and clowning. Like, Drew, you just really just put yourself out there like, here I am. I got my big floppy shoes and my big red wig on. You just a clown. You are the show's clown. It's terrible, girl. I mean, big top Drew, honey. She's ridiculous. Sheree starts talking about her party. We get back to how Candy's not invited. And it was very shady. And she basically said, well, I mean, I thought that you wouldn't show up anyway. So I just did. If I was Candy, Candy, and Candy crashed her face. It was like, no. Even Cynthia was actually there. First, she tried to make it like, oh, I knew all these ladies. It was small, and I knew all these ladies for like 30 years. And Candy's like, oh, so you knew all these people before me. It was that thing. Okay, whatever. And she said, and no, I was not booked and I was not busy on that night. I was actually home that night to treasure party. And this, that, and the other. But you basically didn't invite her because she hasn't showed up for things. And again, she didn't show up for things because she was working. She's not blown off any of you all's events. It's because she's working. But what I would do for Miss Sheree, if I was Candy, baby, I wouldn't need no more invitations. Because even if you gave me one, I wouldn't show up for shit. that you ever gave again. Period. Especially when it's something when you begging. When you're trying to sell me clothing that's not available and all that kind of shit. And raising funds for this, that thing, and the other. And you want to throw you got something coming up where I'm sure Candy will get an invite for that because it's a sip and see for your granddaughter. So I'm sure you'll know it'll be a gift that'll be involved. I wouldn't be at nothing. There would be no need for you to ever invite me to anything else again because I wouldn't come. I would blow off all of your events. I wouldn't care what you did. You could be having the coming of Christ. And I'd miss it because I would not be there if you was throwing it. That's just me. That was shady. That was shady as hell and wasn't cute. Moneta then ends up, because Cynthia was like, I'm hearing that you guys are having a divide. There's a divide between you all. What is that all about, you all, And they're like, oh, well, no, well, maybe. Then they start trying to explain. Moneta broke it on down. Candy laughing. She's like, yeah, there is. But Moneta breaks it on down and then says, yeah, in Portugal, Courtney even called Drew a bitch. Honey, and Courtney went to nigga-splaining and lying and backpedaling and all the things, honey. Talking about, no, I didn't. And old Shady Bravo, Andy and the boys, honey, they flash it right on up there, honey, flash it right up where she done called the child a bitch, honey. Sonya was standing there, and I said, girl, busted, honey. Busted. So I thought that was getting ready to derail things and make things real messy, but they kind of was able to maneuver around it. And then what actually brought them all together and really wrapped up the event on a high note was the whole pregnancy announcement for Sonya and Ross. And that brought the ladies back together. They were genuinely happy for Sonya. So that was cool. That was cool. Last thing, Dr. Ken came on over to Drew's house, and Dr. Ken, Dr. Ken he looks good. Like he done lost some weight or something must be going on good in his life because Dr. Ken looked kind of happy and he just looked good and looked like he's in a good space. Because we see Dr. Ken on the show from time to time. He looked like he was in a good space. I'm like, no, I'm like Drew. Or maybe it's just Drew. I don't know. Dr. Ken, you like Drew? Because you just lit all up with Drew. She's available. Drew. Hey, Drew. Girl, check out Dr. Ken. Dr. Ken ain't no bad looking man, honey. And he seems to really care about you, girl. You might want to try Dr. Drew, honey. Because the little situation with you and Ralph, everybody knows it's over but you, honey. I think you're just realizing it. Dr. Ken was like, okay, so what you going to do? It was given very much a, honey, what you doing after the movie, honey? Give me a beat. Janet Jackson nasty, honey. Like, it's over. It really is over. But girl, I don't know. Was it just me or I'm the only one that felt like Dr. Drew just lit on it? Is he married? Drew, you need to get on Dr. Drew. Dr. Ken, sorry. You need to get on Dr. Ken. Check that out. See what's going on, girl. Because that thing with you and Ralph, that's over, sweetie. Anyway, that's it. That's all. That's all I got to say. I think Dr. Ken would be good. Somebody like Dr. Ken, if not Dr. Ken, would be an older man that actually likes her, would be able to fix her. First thing to do, get her off the show. Stop her from making a fool of herself. Yank her up off the show. You need a man that will bring something into the house, honey. Be a daddy, be a husband, and help to bring you up to speed and up to code. Because this being on TV, making a fool of yourself, that ain't cute, girl. You getting too old for that. Anyway, I done said all I had to say. I probably done said too much, but who gonna do something about it? Now, who gonna check me, boo? Anyway, listen. I'll see y'all on the next episode. We're getting to the end. There's only a few more episodes left, and then we will get to the reunion. Y'all know the reunion looks done leaked. I'll hold off on what I have to say about the reunion looks till the reunion. And that should tell you basically right there what I thought of the reunion of looks. Anyway, catch y'all later. Bye.